Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the flight sim world. This is Viperstrike 95, and today we are back with another Microsoft Flight Sim stream. And good to see you guys. This is one of our Fridays. We're back with the Around the World trip, and today we're back where we left off on Sunday. That's right, we're just outside Maracaibo, Venezuela, here at La Chinita International Airport. I hope everyone's doing well here today for another stream. And today we're going to be doing part 2 of our trip into Venezuela. We'll be checking out the 4 most important cities in Venezuela: Maracaibo, Barquisimeto, Valencia, and Caracas will be our trip today. So it's great to have you guys here. I hope you guys have a great start to your weekend. Um, it's great to have you guys here. So let's go over our flight plan. This is a group flight, so we're in a Southeast Asia server, and you guys are more than welcome today. It is a group flight. Um, so we're gonna fly here from La Chinita International. We're gonna fly over a bit of Maracaibo. Then from Maracaibo, we'll actually climb up to 6,500 feet as we clear over some hills and stuff into our first stop here today at Bar Mito. Bar Meadow, and land at Sierra Victor Bravo Mike. Then from there, we'll be checking out. Then we'll do another short hop over to Valencia. Don't confuse it for the Valencia in Spain. This is Valencia, Venezuela. And we make a landing here at Sierra Victor Alpha. Then after we go through the lake Lago de Valencia, we'll make our way over to Venezuela's capital of Caracas. We'll fly over the capital for a bit, talk more about it. Then we're going to cross through the mountains and make our way over to our final stop here at the main international gateway to Venezuela, Simon Bolivar International at Sierra Victor Mike, India, and make a landing there. So it should be a pretty simple flight plan, but I wanted to go through the 4 most important cities of Venezuela today, since Venezuela is a pretty big country, and I wanted to get this done reasonably. So yeah, before we get started, I want to say hello to Devil Dude, Super Typhon, and Giorgio the Man. Good to see you. And also hello to all the lurkers. I hope you're all doing great as well. So happy to have the weekend started. This is the Diamond DA62. I will be taking this today. I haven't took this at all during my stream, but the Diamond DA62 is a twin-engine light aircraft produced by Diamond. First flew back in 2012. 120 have been built as of April 2019. This DA62 can carry up to 6 passengers. It's powered by 2 Ostro turbocharged 2.0-liter diesel engines with 180 horsepower each, and it can reach a cruise speed at 171 knots. We're not going to go that high, but I'm going to keep it within 150-60 knots with a range of over 1,000 nautical miles. It's a very solid Diamond aircraft, and I think it's a really nice little it's a very nice little plane for sure. So it should be a very interesting plane for sure. Again, like all Diamond planes, this plane should be pretty easy to get up and going. Just turn on the electric battery and the avionics. Yep, and they're nice and on. So, So for this one, I'm going to go set the first heading to 63 degrees. So, and we're going to go 1,500 feet initially for this thing. But I'll try to do my best to keep it within, I'll try and keep this within 150, 160 knots. I didn't want to go through this too quickly. I want to keep it within the two-hour frame of the stream. So for this, we'll be covering over the rest of the notes for the stream, which would be talking about Venezuela's culture and stuff. That would be what I'm going to talk about for the rest of the stream. Will be about the culture, and then about each of the cities we will be checking out today for this stream. So it should be nice. If you guys want to join along in, we're on the Southeast Asian server. We're just about to depart Sierra Victor Mike Charlie. Just pick up anything that can keep up with the Diamond DA62. Like, you can take your own DA62, you can take a DC3, that should keep up, a Beechcraft Baron, a Bonanza. All those should keep up with a good old DA62. It's a nice plane. So yeah, great to have you guys here. Let's go ahead and get this flying. Climb up. Cracked. Landing gear. Go ahead and turn. Heading. We're also going to lower the power. Oh, yes. I will talk about, once we leave Maracaibo, I'll talk more about the news. But yes, I heard about it. 777. I'm very, very excited for it, honestly. And yes, I will be mentioning about it. But yes, the 777 was just officially revealed last night. Very excited for it, honestly. So 777, there were some pretty big things from Team DG. They said the 777 is going to come out within the next 2 months, so it's going to be around 2 months away, which is, at worst, it's going to come out in May, which is not bad. But like I said, they should probably release it when they feel like it needs to be done. So I don't mind waiting a little bit longer for PMDG to build their 777, obviously. However, the first plane release is going to be the 777-300ER, which is actually great, because the 777ER is the most popular version of the 777, which is actually great, because the 777ER is going to be the most common version of it. It's the most built of the 737-700s. In fact, no joke. In fact, of the 1,700 planes built, almost half were from the 777-300ER. So yeah, I'm glad they released the 300ER first, because that's the most popular version. And then, if I really like the 777, I'm probably going to just get the freighter, because the 300 should probably take care of everything else. I'm not saying I can't take the 200 with me. I'm just saying the 300 would work significantly better for the kind of stuff I like to do. So, I'm very, very excited. And like I said, it looks amazing. I can't wait for the 777. And I'm glad they're going to bring out the 300 first, since that's the more popular one. Good to see you, Filthy. Hello, hello. Happy Friday to you, my dude. Here's the city of Maracaibo. This is the second largest city in Venezuela. Only behind Caracas, actually. And fun fact, Lake Maracaibo is home to one of the most unique natural phenomenon, where around 180 days a year, there's constant lightning storms that happen during this area. We're going to go ahead and turn to the right. 115 degrees. There's Maracaibo. Leave here. And all this to the right is the big old lake. It's South America's largest lake. Even though technically it isn't really a lake. But I guess it's not. But I guess it is the biggest. So. But yeah. Yeah, I understand, Devil Dude. A lot of you want to wait to 24, but I'm going to grab it pretty much immediately. But yeah. They said it's going to be around the similar price from the 737, which is a good thing. Because $7 may sound like a lot, but Team GG's quality is always there. But they're going to feature GSX integration, advanced navigation capabilities, and improved tablet features, which should definitely be very good news as well. But yeah, it looks awesome. I cannot wait to take the 777. And then afterwards, they said the next thing after the 747 is the 737 MAX, which is going to be really interesting. Not gonna get the MAX. I'm gonna probably stick with the new generation. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it would be cool to get the MAX, but I'm happy with the new generation. I'm gonna probably stick to NG, not MAX. But I am gonna be pretty excited for that. But yeah, I'm really excited for the 777. I cannot wait to take this in the sky, especially for some of the routes for a virtual airline. I'm already thinking about some really cool 777 routes to take. For example, for our Dublin hub, maybe I could take the 777 through a Dublin hub to like some far but for example, I could take it from Dublin over to like Athens and all that. But I think the hub where I think that 777 is going to shine is Dubai. Because let's not forget, most of the 777 orders in real life for the 300 actually are operated by Emirates. Emirates, actually, no joke, operates the most 300 ERs with 124. And they operate a lot of 777 300 ERs, so it would obviously be a perfect fit for this hub. And I mean, we could take the 777 to a ton of destinations. For example, we could take the 777 ER to places like Jeddah, to Istanbul, to Delhi, to Nairobi. We could take the 777 to a lot of places that are long haul. And I think the Dubai hub would be a really great hub for it. I think also our East Asia hub, Japan could work really nicely with the 777 ER. I don't know about if it was Hong Kong International Chop League as our hub. Hong Kong would work also really nicely too. Like Southeast Asia can work definitely as well. Southeast Asia, Middle East, East Asia could all really work with that 777 ER. That's gonna be amazing. I'm absolutely stoked for it. That's definitely one of my most exciting plans. I know some people are also waiting for the 200, which is basically the smaller version of the two. And I understand, but I mean the 777. But I'd rather fly the 300 than the 200. Honestly. Basically, the 300 is basically a longer version. The 300 ER has basically got 60 more seats than the 200. It's a little longer in terms of length. The 300 ER is 242. It's about 32 feet longer. Actually, 33 feet longer. So I'm pretty excited. But yeah, it's going to be, but basically the release schedule is going to be 300 ER, which is the most popular. Then it'll be the 200 ER, 200 LR, and the freighter. as well. But I'm probably just gonna take the 300 LR, ER, and then the freighter. That'd be the ones I would buy. Oh yes, and Air Canada does too. They do that too as well. So yeah, I'm very stoked for it. I'm definitely gonna take it. Outside of the 777 news, the new developer update happened as well. So the new dev update happened. Um, New details like new career modes. And of course, Flight FX has worked on bringing their own Vision Jet, and it's going to be one of the stock planes, which is amazing news for all those for FS24. So that's definitely very exciting. But some other news include the $1.5 million donated to Antonov, which is definitely pretty nice. Like I said earlier, they updated the water mass, so they make some improvements, which is good. Because that was the big part about the Caribbean World update. The updated Sim Update 15 is going to be released on a tentative date on March 26th, so it's going to be about 2 weeks. About 2 weeks. They show off the Any-Built A320, which should definitely be a really nice thing. I might even give it a try. And I'm definitely going to give the Any-Built A320 a try on one of my Fireflyer streams, because if I end up liking it, I might be more tempted to take like the Phoenix and all that. But I don't really know. And they also have a site that does dynamic level of display. That's also pretty cool. And finally, they've released a new city update. Southwest Germany, featuring the cities of Mannheim, Heidelberg, Karlsruhe, Stuttgart, Esslingen, Pell, and Strasbourg, France, along with the new developed airport of Friedrichshafen Airport, Echo Delta New November Yankee, and the brand new local legend, a very cool local legend, in fact, the Dornier DO31 by Any-Built. This plane is a very interesting plane. You see, this plane was built during the Cold War era as an experimental jet-propelled VTOL cargo plane. Originally, it was supposed to be built for the German Air Force. However, only 3 prototypes were ever built, and they were canceled in 1970. But it's a fascinating plane. In fact, it's still is to this day, the only VTOL-capable jet-powered transport plane ever built. And it was a really cool plane. So you basically have 2 different kinds of power plants. You have your 2 Rolls-Royce Pegasus turbofan, which produces 15,000 horsepower each, and you also have 8 Rolls-Royce turbojet lift engines, which can produce 4,000 thrust each. And these bad boys can cruise up to 351 knots, 393 knots max speed, and a range of 970 nautical miles with max payload, and can reach a surface of 35,000 feet. But this, like I said, this is a fascinating plane. I'm glad we're going to bring these planes to the sim. I'm glad that they did that. And yeah, I did tell you about the news Wednesday, actually, Typhon. They're going to make a Challenger 350 as well. But yeah, absolutely. It's going to be night and day. It's no joke. It's a 9-day difference. It's going to be a 9-day difference, which I'm going to be very happy for all the people out there. I mean, a lot of people wanted a better Challenger, and I think we're going to finally get one for the sim. I mean, I'm going to be honest, that's very good news. Yeah, that Sim Federation plane is an abomination. It's Murph rightfully called it an abomination. Speaking about Murphy, he'll be on later today. He'll be on later. He'll be doing a St. Patrick's Day flight in the Comanche, starting from Shannon, touring the Aran Islands, and then go all the way to Donegal. Via a couple other destinations, including County Mayo, Belmullet, and Sligo as well. So it should be a fun Friday flight on his channel. And then on Saturday we have Allison Johnson's historical flight schedule recreation. She'll be doing on her channel. She will be doing a new flight from El Paso to Oklahoma City. This should be about a 3-hour flight, being much shorter than a lot of our other streams, but she'll be doing another leg of her recreation of Sheila Scott. Check out her channel on Twitch. So that's what's going on this week. And of course, for us, we do have another. We also have another really cool flight. On Sunday, we'll be checking out. Yeah, it's a tiny flight for her. For her, at least. Not for us. That's still pretty long for us. Solid for and for us on Sunday, we'll be back. We'll be taking the 737. I'm going to probably take the 600 this time, and we're going to be flying from Caracas. We're going to make a pit stop over at Guyana City, and then for Guyana City, and we'll make our way over to Georgetown in Guyana. We're going to be visiting our second South American country of the series. And then I got a plan for next week's streams. So for next week, we're gonna actually be doing some flying. Once again, we'll be doing some airliner flying. I might take the ATR out for a trip, which I haven't taken the ATR in quite a long time. Actually, it's been a while since I take the ATR, but I decided it'd be a good time to actually take it out. And I was thinking about actually doing some airliner flying in Southeast Alaska. So I was planning on doing airliner flights, but basically I'm planning on doing that in the ATR for Ketchikan to Sitka. The first one will be Ketchikan to Sitka, and then Sitka over to Juneau, which should be 2 absolutely beautiful legs through Southeast Alaska. It's one of my absolutely favorite places in the United States. I love flying Southeast Alaska. You have some amazing airports to visit. And I think the ATR would be perfect for a stream like this. I cannot wait to show you guys this kind of flying. Oh yeah, and we also have routes. Yeah, 6. I just got a notification. 6 knots to open up the routes. Should be exciting as well. But yes, St. Patrick's Day is going to be on. It's going to be on Sunday, St. Patrick's Day. So a bit of information about I'll probably talk more about St. Patrick's Day on Sunday when it gets to be that day. Pretty cool stuff. So that is the news for about the flight sim world. But yeah, the scenery here is definitely very interesting as well. We're about to fly over some pretty much more mountainous terrain. In this area. This area does get some mountainous stuff, especially in the north. Like around the Andes and stuff is, where you can find some of the real mountainous stuff. Which you can actually see if you look this way in the distance, you can actually see some of the mountain ranges of the Andes. That's like around the region of Meridia and all that. That place gets very mountainous. So, just letting you guys know. And then next week's schedule as well, I'll talk more next week, but next week's schedule is going to also feature 2 more legs of the All Countries trip. On next Friday, which will be next week, it will be from Guyana to Suriname. I got a stream from there to Suriname. Should be a pretty nice flight. I got 2 legs for that one. And then on next Sunday will be Suriname, and we'll enter Brazil. We do 2 airliner legs to Brazil from Suriname. And that will prepare us for a trip into the Amazon rainforest. Should be a very fun trip. We've never really been through the Amazon on stream, so this should be a lot of fun. And on that stream, I will talk about plenty about the Amazon rainforest. So it should be a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and talk about a bit of my slideshow. I want to open up, talk a little bit about Venezuela's culture, just a little bit. I want to take a little bit of time with this since well, we got 4 destinations, and I want to get through this pretty reasonable. Venezuela's culture is a melting pot made of 3 main groups that make up for Venezuela's culture. We actually have the indigenous Venezuelans, the indigenous Mesoamerican people, the Africans, many of them were slaves during that time, and finally the Spanish. The Africans brought in many musical influences, especially the introduction of the drum, as they brought in their own version of the drum over from their countries and made their way to Africa. The Spanish influence is due to the colonization process and socio-economic structure, as it can influence the country's architecture, music, religion, and language. And it's also enriched by the streams of immigration from Indians and European origin that made their own mark on Venezuelan culture. You can see here, Venezuelans definitely have a wide mix of cultures. Definitely pretty cool that Venezuela definitely has a definitely something pretty important to keep an eye. So one of the cool things about Venezuelan culture has been architecture. So the most important Venezuelan architect in the modern era is Carlos Royal Villanueva. He designed the Central University of Venezuela, which is right now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's Aula Magna. Other architectural works include the Capelito, the Baroque Theater, the Berenicia Coronado Cultural Complex, and the General Rafael Urdaneta Bridge in Maracaibo. So architecture began in Venezuela from the prehistoric man with his new Indian architecture of constructions like agricultural terraces lined with stone. However, the modern colonial architecture was built by the Spanish in the 16th century as it began to develop as a dependent colony of Spain. In architecture from that period is its discrete modesty. There were also built a lot of Christian temples and stuff were constructed as well. This is kind of rectangular. Definitely something pretty cool to think about. And of course, when you talk about art and literature, some African drones were used in communication back in the old days. That's correct. Some of them were used back in the old days. And yeah, they were important communication, not just for instrument, but for communication as well. Historically been very important. Yeah, 25 miles is pretty impressive. But in terms of art and literature, Venezuelan art was originally dominated by religious motifs. However, in the late 19th century, artists began to use historical and heroic representations of their country's struggle for independence. This move was led by an artist named Martin Tovar Yetovar. He was known for his historical scenes. Then in the 20th century, modernism took over with notable Venezuelan artists such as Arturo Michelina, Cristobal Rojas, Armando Rivera, and more. In terms of the literature side of things, Venezuela's literature originated soon after the Spanish conquest of the mostly pre-literate indigenous societies, originally dominated by Spanish influences. However, following the rise of political literature during the Venezuelan War of Independence, Venezuelan Romanticism was expounded by the author Juan Vicente Gonzalez. As the first major genre in the region, although focused on narrative writing, Venezuelan literature was advanced by poets such as Andres Eloy Blanco and Fermin Tora. And there are also other writers and novelists, including Romulo Gallegos, who was also a politician as well, Teresa de la Parra, and Mariano Picon Solas. So, definitely Venezuela has a bit of history for it during the region. Go ahead and close this off a little bit. Let's see who's with us. I mean, this is beautiful though. The scenery here is gorgeous. Beautiful scenery here in the mountains of Venezuela. If you guys want to join on in the Discord, by the way, exclamation point Discord will take care of that. Beautiful landscapes here today in Venezuela. We're not too far from our first stop at all. the landscape here is just gorgeous here. So yeah, guys, I think if you guys have any suggestions for what I want to stream, just let me know in my Discord. Yeah, we're gonna continue moving on forward. To Bar Camisio, we'll be there. According to my distance chart, I wonder what that's. But the scenery here is absolutely gorgeous today. In the DV62, lots of the highlands again. Like this area has quite a bit of highlands and stuff. So our first stop is going to be Bar Queen Misio, which shouldn't be too much longer. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I wanted to ask you guys. I hope you guys have any really cool plans for the weekend. This weekend should be some pretty cool streamings and stuff. I hope you guys have any really nice stuff. This weekend isn't going to be much. I got to continue working on my duty schedule stuff. So currently, right now, I gotta continue working on my lead and stuff for Firefly Air. I know right now I got a pretty hefty lead over Sean, about 19,000 point lead, but I'm gonna continue my lead a bit. Because like I said, if I want to get as much of a lead as I can before I leave for Alaska in 6 weeks. If it doesn't end before that, I'll have to build as much of a lead as I can because I don't want to trail. So. Because man, if it isn't, being out for 2 weeks is gonna put me in a big disadvantage. Beautiful stuff. Let's go ahead and just look at the scenery for a bit. I mean, just really nice with the mountains and stuff. Like sometimes the satellite data here in Venezuela isn't so great. That's because, like I said, Venezuela doesn't really have the greatest data. Some areas look really nice, and then others, yeah, it doesn't look so great. So. Let's go ahead and talk about our first destination here today, and that is going to be um, uh, let's see if I pronounce this right. Barquisimeto. Barquisimeto. Okay, here it is. Uh, Barquisimeto. Barquisimeto. Okay. Bar- Barquisimeto is a city of Venezuela, the capital of the state of Lara, and the head of the Uribarra municipality. This is an important urban, industrial, commercial, and transportation center of the country. It is the fourth largest city by population area in Venezuela after Caracas, Maracaibo, and Valencia. It was founded in 1552 by Juan de Villegas as a headquarters and to have better control of the territory believed to be rich in gold. Its original name is Nueva Segovia de Barquisimeto, and it was just shortened to Barquisimeto. The city had 4 settlements due to ignorance of the physical environment. One was in 1552, but it was moved due to frequent floods. The second one's by the Turbio River until it was burned down in 1561. During the country's independence, the city joined the liberation movement and its deputy was signed the Independence Act. Then it carried a modernization campaign in 1929 by General Juan Vicente Gomez, would fix the streets and new avenues and new buildings it built. Apparently, the name of the city, according to the German adventurer Nicholas Friederman, the Aborigines used to call it Barquisimeto, meaning ash-colored rivers. The name which the natives distinguished the water stream near the city, as well. In terms of landmarks in the city, there are some places to check out. There's the cathedral, which is a well-designed architectural masterpiece, which could boast a lot of large crowds. It is the main church for the. It's the main church for the Roman Catholic section here in Venezuela, and it's one of the most modern cathedrals in Latin America, built in 1868. So it's one of the newest and most modern basilicas in Latin America. Another landmark is the Baculio Museum, which features quite a few areas. It's about the history of the city and all that. You get to learn about see the areas past, and finally the Monumento Nacional Patrimonio Cultural, which is known for its beautiful gardens, impressive architecture, an indigenous museum, fish tanks, and panoramic views of the city. Are some of the well-known landmarks of the city. Pretty cool stuff. Hello, Super Tom. Good to see you, my dude. Welcome in. We're about to fly to our first destination of this afternoon. We're going to go into Barquisimeto, in Venezuela. So definitely pretty cool. I'm flying the Diamond DA today. I'm taking the Diamond DA62 today. On this trip is the Diamond DA62. I'm taking it today. It's the DA62. It comes with the base sim. No, this is not the payware one. The payware is the DA42. This is the 62. This is the newer version. I don't have the Cal's DA42. Basically, the DA42 is the Twin Star, and this was actually the precursor, I believe, to the 62. This is the 42. The DA62 is based off the DA50. It's an updated DA50. The 42 is a completely different kind of plane. Completely different kind. But yeah, good question though. But no, it's not. It's not the pay worker. Yeah, the DA42 single, the twin is a single. That's correct. What Typhon said is absolutely correct. And then finally, the main airport is Jacinto Lara International Airport, Sierra Victor Bravo Mike. It's the main airport here in the city. It's one of the most important airports in Venezuela due to its position, as well as domestic flights to Caracas and flights to the Caribbean islands, including Curacao and Aruba. It also features flights to Panama City and Santo Domingo as well. And it was open all the way back, I believe, in the night. It's been a pretty decent old airport, but it's a major domestic airport. It has one runway, 0927, which is at 9,350 feet long. We're going to land straight in at runway 09. So that's what we're going to be doing today. But yeah, we're doing quite good. Yeah, that will be leg number 1 completed for today's flight. We still got 2 more legs left to go. So that is what we're doing here today. That is going to complete the slide. But yeah, sometimes the data here in Venezuela isn't so great. Sometimes the data looks pretty fine, but others, it just doesn't. Let's go ahead and prepare for our first landing. Should be a pretty smooth one. Yeah, everything's going pretty good. So we'll have a quick first stop. We'll have a quick stop here at the airport at Barquisimeto, and we'll make a landing there. The next two legs should not be nearly as long, thankfully. These next two are going to be considerably shorter in legs. And that'll be Valencia and Carajás will both be much shorter legs than this. You won't have to worry about nearly as much. So now we're going to get to our first stop here. And once we get here, we'll be preparing for leg number 2 over to... We'll fly over a little bit of downtown before making our way to Valencia. For the next leg, we'll be climbing up to 5,500 feet for the next leg. Yep. This is Barquisimeto. 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 Barquisimeto is here. We're here at our first stop at Sierra Victor Bravo Mike. We're gonna stop here for just a second. If you guys want to join on in, we're in the Southeast Asia server, so we'll be joining here with you soon. That's what we're doing for just a bit. We'll prepare for the next leg of the trip over to Valencia. Should be a nice flight. Let's go ahead and prepare for the next leg. Next stop is going to be Valencia. And get to our next stop. Well, we're going to climb up to 5,500 feet for this next leg. Here's the city of Barquisimeto. Downtown. Oh yeah, one more thing as well for the community as well. I forgot. There's one more. On Saturday, tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. Central Time. I don't know what the Zulu would be equivalent to. I guess 10 a.m. Central Time is, I guess it's 1500. I guess it's 1400 Zulu. I guess, yeah, it's 15. It's about 1300 Zulu. Starting with Foxtrot and Company, starting from Splasher 6, he'll be doing, he's been doing a mail stream which follows the CEM mail routes back in the 30s from California over to Oregon. So, just caboose. So he'll be following a real 30s airmail route. For a couple other streamers, including Splasher 6, Raleigh Mall, Splasher 6, Angry One Horn, Raleigh Mall, Sergeant Staff Deej, Paradox, and Foxtrot. So it should be a pretty interesting stream as well on their channels. Do check them out. Should be a pretty fun flight. It should be a lot of fun checking out their channels. So we'll be climbing up to 5,500 feet for this next leg. Should be a nice and smooth leg itself. So this flight should take us around 30 minutes or so. Get there. So let's talk a little bit more about Venezuela's culture on our way over to Valencia. Let's talk a little bit more about Venezuela's culture. So let's start back at the music of Venezuela. Venezuela's music, it represents many of the indigenous music styles as well as those brought from the Spanish in Afro traditions. The national instrument of Venezuela is the suatra, which is basically a stringed instrument similar to that of a guitar. But its tuning is similar to a ukulele, but its character and playing technique is very different. Traditional styles and songs mainly emerged in around the Llanos region, including the song Alma Ilerana by Pedro Luis Gutierrez, Florentino Ye El Diablo by Alberto Alvaro Torrealba, and Concierto Ilerona by Juan Vicente Torrealba, and Simon Diaz's Cabello Viejo. Another popular genre is the Zulian Gaita, or the Gaita Zuliana, which is a style of Venezuelan folk music performed around Christmas time. The national dance is the Joropo, which basically resembles the Fandango, and originated in Venezuela. It has African, European, and native South American influence, as it's often a melting pot of different cultures. It also has other dances including calypso, bambuco, folia, canto de hilado de maíz, and more. And then the early 20th century, a movement known as Movida Acustica Urbana featured musicians trying to save some national traditions by creating their own songs but using traditional instruments, and more. So, important tradition here as well. In terms of sports, unlike other South American countries, the most popular sport in Venezuela is not football. Though it is on the rise, it's actually baseball. As crazy as it sounds, it's actually baseball. And the reason was because and it's actually rare considering football is usually the dominant sport in the continent. But Venezuela is one of the rare exceptions, and that's because baseball's grown because of the United States oil companies who helped brought baseball over to baseball. And there have been many Venezuelan baseball players over the past since the 40s. But yeah, Venezuela is a big baseball crazed country for sure. There's over 200 since 1939. But there's only been one Venezuelan player in the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame, and that is Luis Aparicio, who played for the Chicago White Sox from 1956 to 1973. That being said, I think there are going to be other Venezuelans in the Hall of Fame. I think there's going to be a few more Venezuelan Hall of Famers and stars throughout the years, but the most likely, but I believe the next Venezuelan to make the Hall of Fame is Miguel Cabrera, who just retired in 2023. I think it's likely he'll be the next Venezuelan to make the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame. I mean, 2-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, Triple Crown winner, Miguel Cabrera, one of the most feared hitters of his era. Victor Martinez is another player that could potentially make the Hall of Fame with over 2,000 hits. But I think Miguel Cabrera is going to probably be the next Venezuelan to make it. But yeah, there have been more than a few really big stars. Also, Johan Santana is also another really notable star modern day wise. Felix Hernandez. But yeah, there have been some major stars in baseball from Venezuela. Outside of that, though, football has been basketball's another popular sport in Venezuela. Has been basketball. Behind baseball has been basketball, which is again another rarity on the continent is basketball. Venezuela's been one of the 3 elite South American basketball teams. And it's home to several elite basketball players who competed in the World's Top Basketball. And then football's on the rise. It's rapidly gaining popularity. But it's still behind baseball in terms of it. In fact, Venezuela, surprisingly though, is the only team to not participate in qualifying in the World Cup in South America. So they're the only major South American team that not even qualified for a World Cup, which is definitely pretty weird, but it's also because, well, they played a very hard bracket, including Brazil and Argentina. And it's always historically had a rough history. Other sports include beach volleyball, bullfighting, even though it's not very popular, cycling, martial arts, and more. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And finally, for cuisine, it's influenced by European, West African indigenous traditions. Food cuisine uh, varies between which parts of Venezuela you visit. It's also got a large variety of different white cheeses named after the different regions. Um, but some of the most well-known cuisine include the arepa, which is actually part of a native cuisine filled with meat with all sorts of different fillings. The cachapa, which is a maize pancake filled with fresh cheese or fried pork. Um, a traditional Christmas dish known as the halakha, filled with mixture of beef, pork, chicken, capers, raisins, and olives, wrapped in maize, stringed with plantain leaves and stuff. Um, and more, but they have quite a few dishes as well. So that wraps up Venezuela's culture for a bit. This is all about Venezuela's culture. Um, so the next slides will cover over um, some of Venezuela's fun facts and stuff as well. So let's talk about some fun facts about Venezuela. The people of Venezuela speak for more than 35 different languages. It not includes Spanish, but they also speak a lot of indigenous languages. Including Piapoco, Wayu, Warao, and Yanomamo are some of the other languages recognized in Venezuela. Pastilles are a popular Venezuelan breakfast staple. It's made with wheat flour and filled with chicken or cheese and usually eaten for breakfast. Of course, I talked about it on Sunday, but Lake Maracaibo is the lightning capital of the world. This lightning starts from heights around 1 kilometer and it occurs more than 140 nights a year, around 10 hours a day. And finally, over 390 Venezuelans have made it to Major League Baseball. Pretty crazy to think about some pretty fun facts about Venezuela. So, we won't be very far from Valencia, so we should get ready for that. Let's look outside for a bit and check out the scenery, see if anyone else has come on with us. Yeah, the scenery here is it's definitely very nice. The scenery here is definitely very, very cool. For sure to visit. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for coming along with us today. I really do appreciate it for all the support. So, but definitely very, very, very cool. So, we're going to be heading to Valencia. Um, Valencia, Venezuela, is the capital city of the state of Carabobo and the third largest city in Venezuela. It's an economic hub that contains many of Venezuela's top industries and manufacturing companies. It's the largest city in its own region with a population of 4.5 million people, which is the second largest after Caracas. The area was already inhabited by the 4th millennium BC, mainly hunters and gatherers. Um, Valencia was founded by the city itself was founded by Captain Alonso de Moreno. As locals probably remind visitors, 8 years before Caracas. It was the first Spanish settlement in north central Venezuela, and its official name was Nuestra Señora de la Acción de la Nueva Valencia del Rey. It was named after Valencia del Don Juan, its own province in Spain. The Amazonas put the Indians living in the region under Spanish settlers. It was once the capital of Venezuela in 1830, after it was separated to Gran Colombia, and it then became the capital soon afterwards, replaced by Caracas. However, the city really grew after the 1930s, thanks to oil revenues and industrialization, and attracted many immigrants to the region. As one of the few places where Hugo's proposal for constitutional reform was rejected during the Bolivarian Revolution. And there are quite a few really cool points of interest here in the city. Include the Valencia Aquarium, home to a wide variety of marine species, the Historic Center, the colonial era district rich in colonial heritage, which includes the Plaza Bolivar for its column as well. And of course, it's also home to Bolivar Square, featuring a glimpse of the country's rich heritage. Well, other places include the Paez Mansion, home to one of the first presidents of Venezuela and leader of the independence war, Jose Antonio Paez. There's also the city's mansion, built in 1765, where the Art History Museum is currently at. So, and finally, the main airport is Sierra Victor Alpha. This is Arturo Michelina International Airport. It's named after the artist Arturo Michelina, who was born in Valencia, one of the well-known artists. It's currently a hub for Turapal Airlines, which is one of the Venezuelan airlines that operates 737-400s. And it flies destinations include Santo Domingo, Ciudad Guayana, Panama City, Santiago de las Calaveras, and Punta Cana are some of the destinations flown out of Valencia Airport here in Venezuela. So guys, that is Valencia, Venezuela. So we should be approaching downtown soon. We'll be landing at runway 10. So thankfully, though, the next leg will be the shortest leg of the journey. And that one, we'll be talking about the city of Caracas, and we'll be talking more about go ahead and start lowering up. Here it is, guys, Valencia. And right here next to it, the city is the lake, Lago di Valencia. Not far. We're going to get ready to make a landing here. So, here we are. Valencia, Venezuela is coming right next to it. Here we are, guys, Valencia. Oh, here we are. Valencia in Venezuela. Here's the city itself. And we're going to go land here for a bit. So here we are. Now we're going to land 10 and we're going to park. Here we go. Another very smooth landing. So guys, this is Valencia. It's in Venezuela. Don't confuse it for the one in Spain. This is Venezuela still. So guys, I'll be taking a quick bio break and we'll be right back. See you in a bit. All right, I'm back. So let's go ahead and continue on for the final leg of the trip. We'll be making our way over to Caracas, Venezuela, the capital city. So let's go ahead and get this ready to get going. Go ahead and get the final leg. Our cruise altitude will be 6,500 feet. Go ahead and get to flying out of here. So we're going to be flying up here and complete the rest of the trip. Let's go. So let's go ahead and climb to 6,500 feet. And prepare for the final leg of the trip. This is Lago de Valencia. Which is actually Venezuela's second largest lake. The history of this lake's been around 2 to 3 million years ago due to faulting and damming of the Carabaos River. This lake currently suffers from algal blooms due to untreated wastewater. So the city of Caracas is the capital largest city of Venezuela. It was founded all the way back in 1567. It's the is within the valley. It separates by the Venezuela coastal mountain range, and it's close to the Caribbean Sea. It's separated by the 1,700-foot mountain range of Cerro de Avila. It was the center of the city is the Cathedral, separated near Boulevard Square. Business include many banks, companies, banks and malls instead of servicing car costs. It has a large service-based economy, with the largest private company in Venezuela being Imperius Polar. And the city hosts some of the tallest skyscrapers in all of Latin America, including the Park Central Towers, as well as the Museum of Contemporary Arts. And Caracas is one of the most important. Caracas was founded in 1567 by the Spanish. There have been multiple attempts at settlements, but they officially figured it out in 1567 by Captain Diego de Losada, naming the city Santiago de Leon de Caracas. It was the closest to the coast, and it became a major area for trade, agriculture, and more. However, the coast was also raided by pirates, but due to its mountain coast, it was immune to pirate attacks. And this area became a big part of cacao and cacao beans, which is what makes coca. And then it grew even more so, despite all the earthquakes that happened. It grew more and more important thanks to the oil boom of Venezuela during the 20th century, and it rebuilt a lot of this area with modernization. However, much of the development followed this array at the end of the 20th century with the oil glut and political instability. And by 2017, Caracas was the most violent city in the world. Because, well, Venezuela's had a lot of issues. As a result. In fact, Venezuela's capital has been reported some of the highest per capita murder rates in the world. In 2010, Caracas had the highest murder rate, having more deaths than the entire city of Baghdad during the Iraq War, which is really bad. In fact, by 2019, which had the 6th highest homicide rate in the world outside of a war zone, which is pretty crazy to think about. Around 76 murders per 100,000 people. In 2023, it was 19th in the world with a rate of 52 murders per 100,000 people, but it's very, very dangerous. It's a very dangerous city. Some landmarks here in Caracas include the Paso de los Proceros, which is the Walkway of Heroes, featuring many monuments dedicated to the heroes of the Venezuelan independence. You have the Panteon Nacional, which was formerly a church, but it became a resting place for prominent Venezuelans in the 1870s. And the Pico Naguata, which is the highest peak of the Venezuelan coast range at around 9,072 feet. You can actually take a challenging hike above the clouds. Should be a pretty fun flight. There's also more landmarks than that. Other landmarks in the city include the birthplace of home of Simon Bolivar, the Teresa Coronado Cultural Complex, featuring a theater with operas, ballets, and dramatic works. And many other religious buildings, including the Iglesia de San Francisco, which Bolivar's funeral was held there. So there have been a few little complexes here in the city. And finally, our final stop is going to be at Simon Bolivar International Airport, the main international gateway to Venezuela. It was opened all the way back in 1941 as Aeropuerto Internacional de Maiqueta. It was recommended as an appropriate location by Charles Lindbergh during Pan Am, and they subsidized the airport. It was also rarely visited by the Concorde until the 1980s. As it was commenced in the late 70s, they operated a weekly Concorde service between Caracas in Paris at a stop at Santa Maria Airport in the Azores. Currently nowadays, it's undergoing major changes for the airport to meet more international standards and improve passenger traffic security and more. In 2007, there was actually a flight from here to Tehran as well. However, ever since the crisis in Venezuela, domestic airlines are laboring under tremendous difficulties due to hyperinflation and part shortages. And as a result, with all the crisis, many international airlines have left Venezuela entirely. Currently, right now, this airport serves a lot of destinations in not only domestic destinations to nearly every one of the Venezuelan cities like Maracaibo and more, but they also serve destinations in South America, such as Lima, Bogota, Quito, um, Central America. There's even a European and it even serves a few European and Asian destinations as well, including Madrid, Istanbul, um, Madrid, and yes, even Tehran. Yes, Tehran, as you guys wouldn't believe it. It used to do a lot more, but they no longer do lots of flights to Venezuela. And so that is. It was also featured in the 1981 film Guendo la Película when the Paramoneros fans board a flight during the final film scenes of the movie. They board here at Simon Bolivar International Airport. So there you go, guys, and that wraps up the notes for today's stream. So thank you guys so much for being here. Take a look at the scenery here, and it actually looks nice now. Now we're getting some good data. Should be some nice flying here. For sure. Like I said, massive thank you guys for being here. Okay. So we're just 45 nautical miles out of Simon Bolivar International. We'll be preparing for Sunday's flight to Guyana City in Georgetown, in Guyana. Should be a good flight. landscape here is absolutely gorgeous here in this part of Venezuela. The northern part, like around this area, is actually some of the best looking areas in Venezuela. Done. Here's Caracas, and you can see over here, there's the mountain range. There's the mountain range here in Caracas. So yeah, the entire city is, much of the city's on the opposite side of the mountain range. So you have the mountain range up there, and it's blocking Caracas from the coast. So. Here it is, guys, Caracas. Just outside of the city. here's the capital city of Caracas, Venezuela. Here's Caracas for you. Here, okay, here's Caracas for you. Definitely a very interesting city for sure. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off autopilot and see if I can find the rest of the way home. Yeah, crazy to think about the scenery here, guys. This is pretty cool. Obviously, I want to stay away from the city for too much longer. I want to stay around the airport because this city is not safe. By the way. Definitely very, very cool city for sure. here we are. Simon Boulevard International. We'll find a parking spot. So, here we are. So that's it, everyone. That wraps up today's stream. So let's go ahead and park. Park. And guys, we have officially made it to Simon Bolivar International Airport, just outside of Caracas, Venezuela. And that is going to wrap up our stream today, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. As always, we'll be back here on Sunday as we fly to our next country of Guyana. I hope you all have a great rest of your day and a great start to your weekend, guys. We'll find someone to raid, and I hope to see you all soon. Take care, everyone, and have a great rest of your Friday. Bye.